Amit Goswami nasceu na Índia e obteve seu doutorado em Física Nuclear Teórica na Universidade de Calcutá em 1964. Professor de Física da Universidade de Oregon, nos Estados Unidos, durante 32 anos, Amit Goswami é autor de vários livros e estudos técnicos, onde expõe suas teorias nos campos da física e da espiritualidade. Tornou-se mais conhecido a partir de 2004, ao participar e expor suas ideias no filme Quem Somos Nós, distribuído também no Brasil. Considerado um dos mais originais pensadores contemporâneos nessa área, Amit Goswami também já causou polêmica nos meios acadêmicos e até foi alvo de críticas por suas ideias de estabelecer uma ponte entre a ciência e a espiritualidade. Goswami é apontado como um caso pouco comum de cientista transformado por seu próprio trabalho. Na metade da carreira, questionou a visão materialista da ciência, mudou seu foco de pesquisa e passou a produzir estudos unindo o conhecimento de tradições místicas com a exploração científica. Em suas teorias, Goswami procura demonstrar que o universo é matematicamente inconsistente sem a existência de um conjunto superior, no caso, Deus. E considera que com o desenvolvimento dos estudos nesta área, Deus será cada vez mais objeto de ciência e não mais de religião. Aposentado como professor de física da Universidade de Oregon desde 2003, Amit Goswami dedica-se atualmente a fazer palestras pelo mundo e também dá aulas sobre ciência e vida espiritual em entidades e institutos dedicados a estudos religiosos e filosóficos nos Estados Unidos, Portugal e também no Brasil. O universo autoconsciente, a janela visionária, o médico quântico, a física da alma. No primeiro, que Amit Goswami publicou no Brasil, ele contraria a ideia de que tudo é feito de matéria e estabelece uma nova visão de mundo, onde a consciência e não a matéria é a base de tudo o que existe. Em sua janela visionária, defende um novo paradigma científico, onde os valores humanos vêm em primeiro lugar. Como médico quântico, traz as orientações de um físico para a saúde e a cura. E na física da alma, traça uma explicação científica para a reencarnação, a imortalidade e as experiências de quase morte. Questões que Amit Goswami também levou ao cinema. Junto com outros nomes da ciência, falou de suas ideias no filme Quem Somos Nós, que teve uma segunda parte depois. Quem Somos Nós? Uma nova evolução. Os dois filmes misturam ficção e documentário e procuram mostrar que a realidade, da forma como é percebida pelas pessoas em geral, é ilusória. Goswami diz que realidade é algo que nós mesmos criamos e, portanto, podemos mudar. Os filmes foram um sucesso de bilheteria nos Estados Unidos e Canadá. Também ganharam versão em DVD e foram distribuídos por quase todo o mundo, inclusive no Brasil.
Free will is compromise, no question, because this ego I mostly what it intends, what it wills, will always be according to what it knows. It's based on the known. So it's not really free, it's constrained by the known. Freedom is freedom to choose the unknown. But how do you choose the unknown? It's quite simple actually when you think about it, because choosing the unknown means say no to the known. That's the first step. But then begins the arduous journey, which we call the creative journey. It's a process. It consists of asking a question, it consists of preparation, it consists of just sitting on the preparation so that the quantum possibilities can grow. And more possibilities you have to choose from, the more is your chance of finding the unknown answer to the question. And so eventually you have a quantum leap to the unknown. It's always a quantum leap because you are identified with this very local, very individual consciousness. So you have to take a quantum leap to that which is not local, which is non-local. You have to take a quantum leap from the old to the new. So it's a discontinuous transition. When electrons jump from one orbit of the atom to another, it does not go through the intermediate space. This is what we call quantum leap. So you have to similarly take a quantum leap without going through the intermediate places, intermediate stations of your thinking. You're thinking this now about yourself right now in terms of the known. All of a sudden you are in a place where it's complete surprise. You didn't know that you were this. It's the aha experience. It's a quantum leap. And that reveals to you your true self. Quantum physics is changing our worldview. Right now the worldview is scientific materialism, which says everything is matter. Everything is material interactions. Quantum physics is saying that objects are possibilities for consciousness to choose from. So this brings consciousness into the arena, and when you are finished making a logical science based on the idea of consciousness, you find that consciousness is the ground of all being, not matter. So this worldview change has to reflect in our behavior, has to reflect in who we are, in our explorations. Quantum activism is a way of pursuing this idea. It's a way of transforming ourselves according to quantum principles, and also our societies according to the same quantum principles, so that we can grow together to fulfill the evolutionary needs of consciousness. This new science is giving us new ways of thinking about ourselves that allows us free will, that allows us creativity. The old science was constriction, was like a straitjacket in our against our creativity, against our exploration of meaning. The unfortunate fact is that a computer cannot process meaning. So if you believe that we are computing machines, then your meaning exploration is compromised. But quantum physics is forcing us to look at ourselves in a new and different way. It's telling us directly that, look, consciousness can be introduced into science only by recognizing that consciousness is the ground of being, and matter exists as possibilities of this consciousness to choose from. But if matter is possibilities of consciousness, then so can the mind be possibilities of consciousness. So in this way, the idea of consciousness as the ground of being integrates both matter and mind. So not only we can include our material aspects of everything into the equation of life, but we can also include the mental, the vital, the supramental, all these things that we experience internally as feeling, thinking, and intuiting. Those things also can be included. This is a tremendous achievement, but it requires activism. Why? Because the scientific materialistic thinking is very entrenched right now. All our social institutions, economics, politics, education, health, religion, everything is based on this polarization of ideas of materialism versus spiritualism. Is spirit important? This polarization is making us static, rigid. We cannot move. In order to move, we have to become activists. So quantum activism is my answer to all this, and I think it will be your answer too when you realize that this is one way we can bring not only right thinking, namely the right worldview in our midst that includes consciousness, but also right living and the capacity to earn the right livelihood. How does quantum activism apply to education? Education is the basic. Education is the basic because that's how we grow people to adulthood. Education is about how to develop a child to take care of the needs of himself or herself, their own exploration, and the explorations of society. Under scientific materialism, we live in a more hedonistically inclined societies. We tend to say that there is no meaning, there is no value, and creativity is impossible. If we teach kids with this kind of attitude, obviously the kids will not pursue meaningfulness anymore. They will not have any values. to pursue, and in general they will become restless, they will have no radar to follow, they will have no conscience, and civilization in general cannot be upheld when we educate our kids in valuelessness and meaningfulness. So of course what we have is not everybody believes scientific materialism. There is the opposite camp, the religious camp, who insists that there should be religious values, but that too has bogged down into very archaic pictures of spirituality that they preach, and nobody, because they're all cynical, spiritualists cannot help believe in materialism also, because materialism is so successful in dealing with the material world. And likewise, materialists know that their view of the world is very one-sided, and they feel spirituality, they intuit meaning, and so everything is cynical. Nobody understands why meaning and value and happiness, these things continue to be important to us, except nobody knows how to include them in their worldview, in their life, in their practices, in their social systems. This is where quantum activism has to come in. Quantum activism has to establish clarity. Education is now entirely confused. Instead, quantum activism has to come and say that, look, we have to change ourselves and the society together. We have to walk our talk, otherwise we cannot teach kids. In order to teach kids, the first thing is that the teachers must be exemplifiers of what they are trying to teach. Otherwise it will always be confusion. Confusion will reign because behavioral change does not come without very strong incentive, which will produce creative work, creative exploration, do way of life, which requires a lot of change in the way that we live, because we live a very busy, do type of world. But it's this combination of spirituality and science, the bringing creativity and conditioning together, requires a relaxed kind of focused doing. Almost sounds like anachronism. How can we be focused and relaxed at the same time? This is why we have to teach it. The educational system needs it. We have to teach creativity. We have to combine things that seem to be uncombinable, like science and spirituality. Fortunately, the new science can do this. We already have the means. We just have to use it in educational system. We have to use it with intention. We have to use it with relaxed focus. And then we will change ourselves and change the world and the kids with us, so that the next generation gets the full benefit of the new paradigm shift. How does quantum activism apply to media and politics? Well, let's take the case of politics first. Politics, democracy, was founded from principle of egalitarianism. Why should power be centered in a few people like kings and dukes and the elite? Power should be shared by everyone. People have free will, and therefore they have freedom to explore their life as they see fit. If power is concentrated, then obviously many other people will have to be slaves to the free will of others. So democracy was born to give power back to as many people as possible, so that people can pursue the meaning of their own life, their own pursuit of happiness in life. Good idea, but in the application of it, many problems have arisen, and particularly in recent times, the problem of polarization. Power has become the issue, not the pursuit of meaning, not the pursuit of people's individual meanings. And because power has become the issue, the power is now frozen in one group or another. Both exclude people. One is dogmatic in the favor of primacy of matter, the other one is dogmatic in favor of primacy of spirit. And the two sides cannot talk. How can we solve this kind of situation? We have to bring the message of the new paradigm. The new paradigm based on quantum physics is telling us that consciousness is the ground of all being, and both matter and meaning can simultaneously exist as possibilities of consciousness to choose from. When you accept this paradigm, then meaning comes back into politics, And once again, meaning will be served more than who has the power, because power can be used not to dominate others, but powers must be used only to pursue meaning in the life of ordinary people. Media can be very helpful in propagating the message of the new science. Instead, media has become so scared of the establishment, either the spiritual establishment, religious establishment, or the scientific materialist establishment, that media only serves compartments, not the holistic message. So you have to create alternative media. Fortunately, internet has arisen as a wonderful technology where the alternative expressions are finding a place. Not only that, there is already alternative media. Today, the filming that we are doing is with the help of such alternative film producers, and this has to happen. This will bring us out of the grip that the mainstream media has on not only people's aspirations and meaningful explorations, but also on this polarization of politics itself. Because what the media does is that media always plays both sides, always plays this side and that side, so there is no absolutes in the media anymore. There is no truth anymore. Everything can be true and everything can be played with fact-free science and fact-free everything. So we get Fox News, which distorts news, anything goes. The issue of global climate change, for example, it may exist, it may not exist, and media in general has become very equivocal about anything. This could be or that could be. Everything that is presented, the opposite is also presented as fact or as truth. This got to change. The new science gives us absolute values once again. And so if we use new science as the guide, then we can change this attitude, wishy-washy attitude of media, so that media has something to direct, something to guide, instead of just following this side or that side and becoming meaningless exploration of things that nobody knows what they mean. How can quantum activism help our dealings with health and healing? This is a very important question for the very simple reason that the healthcare costs are going up and up and up in almost every country of the world. And the reason for that is new diagnostic techniques and of course new drugs. Pharmaceuticals research these drugs and they say that it's very costly to develop this research, and then the cost of service, insurance industry, the way doctors have to deal with insurance, which emphasizes quantity, not the quality of healing. So these are the usual reasons that are given. But there is a more succinct reason that cannot even be addressed within the philosophy of scientific materialism, which is the problem. And this is of course why we have to do quantum activism, because the worldview has to change. What the problem is with scientific materialism, it just takes care of the material aspect of everything. Now health and healing does have a very pressing material aspect. We do have a physical body, and it is at the physical body level that we become aware of symptoms, but there is another way of looking at something, that even before we become aware of the symptoms, because we have other internal bodies like the vital body, the mental, supramental, and the whole body that we call consciousness. Maybe the reason that the physical body is not behaving properly or we have pain is because these other bodies have developed some problems too, because we are not paying attention to them. This is the idea that variously has led to vital body medicinal practices and mind-body medicine practices, which of course materialist scientists, allopathic doctors, they fight tooth and nail because they don't believe in anything subtle. They don't give these things credibility. So this has caused a huge problem in society that can only be solved by activism. We have to insist that, look, this vital body, mental body, supramental body, and their role in health and healing are extremely important. The fact is that alternative energy practitioners, alternative healing practitioners by the name of Ayurveda, which is the traditional Indian medicine, then TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture is part of it, mind-body medicine, which has been developed in the West recently, homeopathy. These are very accepted ways of healing. They are very effective when they are used properly in the proper context and the proper intention. It is just undeniable that alternative medicine can complement the healing that goes on with allopathic medicine. So the new science is giving us an integrative way of including both allopathic and alternative or complementary medicine. And this is to recognize that allopathy certainly has a role to play when the disease is physical. It even has a role to play when the disease might be occurring in the subtle bodies like vital, mental, or even supramental, or even the whole body of consciousness. In the sense that if there is an emergency where the body is sick because of this disease has percolated into the physical body itself, then of course you have to deal with that first, because if the physical body dies, then there is no other body to take care of, in that sense. But otherwise, we should always attempt to heal the disease at the source. If it is the mental body disease that is eventually causing the physical body disease, then we have to treat the mental body. Or if it's at the vital level, then you have to treat the vital body. This is the idea of integrative medicine. It is a fact that 75% to 80% of our ailments are actually chronic diseases. And it is a fact that in chronic disease, the role of the physical is actually secondary. What is happening is that the physical has gone all right, no doubt from wear and tear, but there is no physical body correction that we can give. There is no physical body cure for organs that have become older and therefore cannot perform their functions, except for organ replacement, which of course is a very difficult process. It's going to stay a difficult process because finding organ donors and rejection problem of the organ, these are very difficult problems to solve. Therefore, we come back to this alternative medicine because the vital body can be adjusted creatively to fit even the deformed, even the old physical organs. To deal with chronic disease, the role of the vital body healing is much more important, because the physical body just cannot be healed very easily except for organ replacement. But the vital body that is correlated with the physical can be adjusted to fit the old physical organs, the worn down physical organ. This is the idea that the vital body practitioner uses. He or she changes the vital body in subtle ways through medicine or through acupuncture or even through hands-on or hands-off healing, where the vital energy is injected directly to the patient. These methods are very cheap. This is the best part of it. And these methods are not damaging eventually. They don't have any side effect. The problem with allopathic medicine to deal with chronic disease is that the side effects sometimes are overwhelming. People become sick while addressing the issue of pain from these chronic ailments like arthritis. So one should pay attention here that the new medicine, new integrative medicine, really can be used very effectively to deal with medical costs. The other thing that alternative medicine does, or the integrative medicine does, is to bring the subject of personal responsibility into the picture of healing. We have much that we can do ourselves in the way of preventive medicine. If we follow a lifestyle which gives us the proper nutrition of not only the physical but the vital, mental and supramental and the whole body, then we won't get sick in the first place. The physical organs would not deteriorate so fast in the first place, because that's what taking care of these organs does to some extent. It prevents aging. So that is a very important component, and as we learn to be more creative, we can even use our creativity for healing ourselves through a process that is called quantum healing. There are plenty of evidence today that there have been spontaneous healing of people without any medical intervention whatsoever. Deepak Chopra has called this quantum healing, and we can learn it. We can all practice it with the same kind of creative process that creatives use to create great art and great sciences. We can now use it for great healing. For example, healing of incurable cancer, terminal cancer. So in this way, the prospect of the new integrative medicine is enormous, but we have to use quantum activism to instill it in our society. Well, can quantum activism help, for example, the economy to overcome the current problems of economic doldrum, the problems we are having right now, big recession all over the world? This kind of question we have to answer before we can address this issue of can we reshape our systems to earn livelihood in meaningful pursuits. So let's get back to how capitalism was founded by its founder, the great Adam Smith. Adam Smith recognized that there are human needs and there are people who like to produce things that satisfy those needs. This matching of production and consumption needs, if left to the invisible hands of the free market, quote unquote, said Adam Smith, can produce an equilibrium in such a way that prices will follow, and also the allocation of resources will follow in such a way that an equilibrium exists in the economy. And this borne out to be true, except for one thing. There were always these recessions and heating up of the economy, which is called inflation, so something that is usually known as the boom and bust cycle, or if you want to be more technical, it's called the business cycle. Now, currently, we are sadly aware of the fact that this problem of business cycle is producing havoc. Government interventions that were invoked by the great economist Keynes and later on by what is called the supply side economics, those forms of government intervention are also not working. They are not working because there is an innate difficulty with Adam Smith's style of economics, although the basic idea is correct. Adam Smith addressed only the material needs of people. But actually, as Abraham Maslow pointed out some 50, 60 years ago, human needs go way beyond the material needs. We have 4 kinds of experiences and we are conscious. So this actually produces 5 different kinds of needs. The first one is the vital energy needs, feeling needs. We feel this world of vital energy, and we have to fulfill those needs in terms of getting nourishment in the form of vital energy. Then we have needs of mental meaning. Mental meanings have to be explored, have to be satisfied, and that's a need that needs to be produced and consumed just as the rest of the economy. And then we have supramental needs, values. We need values like love, beauty, justice, truth, and goodness in order to feel satisfied. Unless we explore these values, we are not satisfied. And so the value needs, and then finally the spiritual needs, the needs for wholeness. We need to be happy above all. And happiness, health, wholeness, these are all connected concepts. One leads to the other. And all can be fulfilled by paying attention to the whole being, not separate from anything, no seam, no boundaries. The capacity of being that in that entire being that is consciousness. How can economics be developed which not only addresses the material needs, as we do plenty today, but to also address the other needs? This is the idea of spiritual economics. So it begins with the production of the simplest of all this subtle economy, to produce vital energies. The technology of vital energy is the biggest technological news if you are open to it. The idea is to recognize that the various things that we take for nutrition, food, various things that we take as drugs to heal ourselves, these things are devoid of any vital energy aspect. They are just material extraction from the natural food or natural drugs that we know of. The idea somehow is that if we can refine these natural foods, they will be better for us. This is the idea of scientific materialism, which says molecules are it. We don't need the wholeness of the foods, the wholeness of the medicinal substances. What we need is to extract the particular substance that is good for us. So in this way we refine food, in this way we refine medicinal substances, and the drugs and food that we take have become devoid of vital energy. So vital energy economics is going to be a big force, and in economics it will bring vital energy technology, which will revitalize these things that after chemical treatment has lost their vital energy. So for example, we talk about whole food, we talk about vitalized water, we talk about vitalized perfume, vitalized cosmetics. So in this way, these vitalizing substances that we imbibe is going to be a major technology of the 21st century. And then of course meaning and then values, these things are in further future. But one should note that we already have institutions like educational institutions which provide us meaning, and also the institutions of religion which give us value. But these things are not part of the free market. We have to bring them under the free market, and that is the challenge of spiritual economics. What should quantum activism do in connection with religion and spirituality? There is also an associated question, because we, in a sense, the new paradigm based on quantum physics and the primacy of consciousness has integrated science and spirituality. This brings up the question, in view of the fact that spirituality is scientific, do we even need religions today, which used to in the olden days teach us spirituality? Both questions can be addressed simultaneously. The separation of church and state that democracy indeed accepts is the idea of secularism. We should keep church and state separate. It was very important in 18th and 19th century, where indeed one faction of religion could monopolize spiritual practices and spiritual explorations of all people. And of course the idea is that people are different. We need a multiplicity of practices for satisfying the spiritual needs of all people. So we created this idea of secularism. But eventually secularism itself became a barrier, because we cannot even teach things that are really spiritual and scientific, rather than religion and sectorial. Example is meditation. Example is prayer, which is non-sectarian. So the new science is telling us that we should modify this idea of secularism. We should still keep religion out of the affairs of state, and the state should not sponsor any specific religion. That part of secularism is good. But we should introduce spirituality back into our educational systems, back into the systems of state, because that only subscribes to a scientific aspect of our being. We are spiritual being. We have an incentive towards investing into spiritual wholeness, happiness, holiness, and all that stuff. So this idea, a post-secularism, has to take shape. I also must say that look what is actually happening in the political scene because of these misunderstandings of spirituality and religion. What is happening is that scientific materialism has made quite a substantial part of the society into atheists, because they believe in the supremacy of matter and primacy of matter. So naturally, religions have become very defensive, and they have gone back to their fundamentalist roots, and these roots are archaic. they often come with very archaic beliefs which are not only not scientifically tenable, but really hampers us from further evolution and growth. For example, the idea that God is separate from the world, dualism. Dualism is not a scientifically accepted idea, but dualism also prevents us from really using the idea of God, using the idea of that there is a causal force in our life that is not materially sourced and materially directed. If God is separate from us, then we cannot obviously use the causality that comes from God in our life with our own volition. The distinction of free will and God's will, human will and God's will, is a disastrous idea. So the new science tells us that there is only one source of free will. You can call it God if you wish, but in the new science we call it non-local consciousness. The idea that there is, besides the individual ego consciousness, which is very local, very signal-oriented, there is a consciousness, an ordinary state of consciousness where we don't need signals to communicate. We are interconnected already. And this is what spiritual traditions call God. We now can call it non-local consciousness. Non-local because it does not require any signal. So in this way, if we integrate both the ideas of scientific materialism, that matter is valid, which spiritual traditions ignore, and the idea of spirituality that spiritual traditions put up but scientists, materialist scientists ignore, if we can put them together, and we must, because that's what the new science is telling us, then that kind of integration can solve the problem of polarization that is affecting society in a major way, that is affecting all societies in such a way that 50% of the people rather prefer to be dualists and 50% rather prefer to be atheists and materialists, and both have become exclusive dogmas. The new science can integrate, it's inclusive, but who is going to hear? Because both sides are so polarized. And you have to use activism to unfreeze us from this very frozen situation, the complete polarization. I think this is the major task. This is one of the major tasks of quantum activism. We have to bring the message of the new science to both camps and let them see that indeed we don't lose anything. Both sides are included. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain. But we have to be patient in the process. We have to use means in such a way that they're compatible with our end objectives. And this is what quantum activism tries to do.